So this is the new age called a clam. This is the old one. How old is that, Dad? 1800s. The proper way to dig a post hole digger. Two go like this. And then you go dig that. And you get your little bit started, and then you go like this, like he's doing. And then I keep going like this and watch. My hole's bigger and goes deeper, faster. Why? This is what they do. They teach you new education stuff. Instead of going, hey, my great-great-grandma taught me to go like this. It's so much easier to just do a little bit of a turn.
A little bit of a dirt.
And he gets that little bit of dirt. I get bigger and better because the older people knew better than us, the new competition people. Look at that. The hole goes so much simpler.
I told you
than we could ever learn into it. Welcome to the 20th century. Welcome to the old 18th century. The proper way to dig a hole.
No. The proper way to pour it back in.
There we go. Look at that. Then you look in that hole, see what you got.
So
it's not far.
Not far of a hole.
And
then a big old hole, but deeper.
Oh, that is really interesting. Seeing how old stuff were great. And you see, this theory in just other fields, and it's just creepy how we are amused by ancient technology. How other things that we find from the past and they really seem to amuse us. They are great and we cannot make such stuff. Oh, this is so great, man. Those guys must have been very wise. You see, and they used to live in harmony, all of them, I think. We never have a history of people that, or scripts where it was written how people used to hate each other, or chaos, all that stuff. I don't know, but let's keep watching. And much love to you. But there are some guys, a few guys have been hitting the super thanks and liking. Much love to you guys. Subscribe and share with those around you. We see in Happiness Headquarters, our anthem is peace, love, and forgiveness. All that.
Each year in Ireland, they host the most insane Halloween parade. Since Halloween was birthed in Ireland, I knew I wanted to celebrate here this year, and this is 4 years in the making. They've had to cancel this parade for the past 4 years, so I knew this one was going to be legendary. This specific parade takes place in Galway and is hosted by Macnas, which is a group of local artists. The crowd started piling in all day, so we got there really early, but it was well worth the wait. We could not believe how many cool attractions they had. I've seen my fair share of parades, but these people were so into it, which made it that much cooler. This one was by far my favorite. You can tell that they worked on this creature for so long, and I just could not stop staring. People say the US does their parades really well, but I'm gonna have to give this one to Ireland. And it seemed like everyone else in town was very happy as well.
Oh my god.
Skat baru yan. Sige pa. Wala. Diyos ko po. Wala. Multa ata yung nasakay ko ah. Ay. Wala. Wala. Multo yung nasakay ko. Diyos ko. May sumakay kanina.
May sumakay kanina pero bakit nawala?
Is that guy gave a ghost to
After
him
weeks
to
of
watch?
searching for Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, another mystery about the flight has started to surface. One of the richest, most powerful men in the world may have profited greatly when the flight went missing. His name is Jacob Rothschild. Among the 239 passengers aboard the craft were 20 senior employees of U.S.-based technology company Freescale Semiconductor. Most of the missing individuals are engineers and designers, according to a press release from their management. They were working on a project to make factories in Asia more efficient. The KL-03 microcontroller was recently developed by the corporation for use in military radar systems. Freescale RF, a division of Freescale Semiconductor, develops radar avionics and missile guidance systems for the military. There are 17 billion computer chips produced by the company in use worldwide. 4 days after the flight disappeared, a patent was issued for new semiconductor technology. That license was awarded to 5 parties, Freescale Semiconductor and 4 Chinese employees of the company. Investigators believe all 4 of these people were on board the aircraft when it vanished. Mitch Hawes, Vice President of the Investor Relations for Freescale, said, "These were people with a lot of experience and technical background, and they were very important people. It's definitely a loss for the company." Now that the passengers on MH370 have been declared dead, the entire patent can now be awarded to the company, currently owned by Jacob Rothschild. The multi-billionaire is a member of the Rothschild family, who own and manage many of the world's largest banks and other financial institutions. This new piece of evidence does provide a motive for the disappearance of Flight MH370 and has many independent news outlets questioning the Rothschild's ties to the flight. While it does shed a bit of light on the disappearance, it only clouds the waters further as navies and satellites around the world still look for possible pieces of the missing plane.
So that is creepy.
My dad, being a Freemason, he was chaplain of his lodge. In a nutshell, they would claim to be a social club that has ritual. If a brother Mason commits a murder or treason, they're obliged basically to look after their own. The headquarters for a lot of those in New Zealand, there's 2 main areas. One is Havelock North, Masonic ritual abuse. The ritual abuse happened in a Masonic lodge. Trouble is, a lot of police are members of the Masonic lodges as well. Well, I'm Selwyn Stevens. I am from New Zealand, from Otago in the South Island, but now living in Manawatu in the North Island. And I'm the author of, well, I stopped counting at 35 books on different range of issues, and now the top 25 of them are now on Amazon globally, so that's quite exciting, really. Well, this is our top seller, Unmasking Freemasonry, Removing the Hoodwink. I put this together in request from a series of meetings that I was doing in a Baptist church in New Zealand, and he wanted me to cover some other spiritual deceptions as well, like the Mormons, JWs, and spiritualism. And people wanted my notes, and so they grew into a book. This has gone through 7 editions and has a foreword from a good friend who's passed away now, Dr. C. Peter Wagner from Colorado, who was professor of church growth at Fuller Theological Seminary. So he had me speak at one of their conferences with 2,500 people, and I led them through the prayer renouncing Freemasonry so that they could be set free. For me, the issue really was seeing families, including my own, with what I would regard as Masonic curses operating. And I just decided I needed to study this in order to work out what needed to be done. And that was mostly during the 1980s. And I remember taking my dad with a group of people to Dunedin one time, to the town hall where Dr. Derek Prince was teaching. And he's probably one of my favourite Bible teachers of all time. And he talked about the 5 principalities that controlled Dunedin, which is our 5th biggest city now. It used to be just about number 1. And one of them was Freemasonry. And my dad, being a Freemason, he was chaplain of his lodge. He was a Knight Rose Croix, and he had some questions on the way home, which is fine. And I didn't know all the answers, but I was starting to pay attention to this. And a wee bit later on, I was able to talk to his pastor, who I knew quite well, who was not only born again, but had a very good understanding of the spiritual realm. And he was able to explain things to my dad in such a way that my dad renounced Freemasonry before he died, which I'm most grateful for. I've seen its effect in families. One of the things that I found very interesting is, why do men join this? And there's a number of reasons for that. I think the predominant reason is a chance to get ahead in business if they're in business, because they do special deals with each other. I would say there's an element of pride that they learn secrets that nobody else supposedly knows. Trouble is, so much of it has now been exposed. It's not secret anymore. And I think what holds them in there is just fear, because every degree that they go through the ritual, first degree, they promise not to share the secrets of that degree. And so they go through a little ritual where they actually make a sign of cutting their own throat from ear to ear to say that can happen to me if I share the secrets in this degree. Second degree is to have your heart ripped out. Third degree is to cut your stomach out. And we call that nowadays a colostomy. So we've actually found, and through some very good friends of mine who had done some research on this, that a lot of health issues in families are to do with the part of the degree that their father or grandfather was in the lodge. Give you an example. I was speaking in Melbourne, Australia, at a big Baptist church, and probably had about 50 pastors in that particular meeting. And I happened to make a statement of, you can tell where somebody's father or grandfather was, what the degree level in the lodge, by what are the major problems in their health of their family. And I had the pastor who was hosting me challenged me on that on the way home, and I said, well, you do your own research on it, but that's what I found. Well, over 6 months later, he rang me quite out of the blue, and he reminded me of my comment, and I said, so what did you find? And he said, my wife and I are actually professional counsellors. We each see 8 people a day, 5 days a week for counselling. He was the staff counsellor for the church. And so he said, we designed a questionnaire depending on what people came. Now, to understand, that's a church that's so big, they broadcast their service live on 2 radio stations at the time anyway. I don't know if they still do. And so therefore you don't do ministry in a church that's going to air. And so anybody who had an issue had to make an appointment and go and see this couple. So he said, that's 16 people a day, 5 days a week for nearly 6 months. He said, I can tell you you're 100% right. Now, my research has shown that Australia per capita had more Freemasons than anywhere else on the planet. So I think that's a reasonable sample. It's anecdotal, but I think that was their research. So, you know, we've seen a lot of people healed of health issues, both in their family and in themselves, when people go through renouncing the key bits to do. We go through each of the degrees, and we've got their logos and so on relevant to each degree. We explain these are the words that are normal in the different degrees, pretty well global. The first 3 degrees, called the Blue Lodge, every degree is the same pretty well globally. I have not yet found any significant changes. Scandinavians have a slightly different structure than the British Commonwealth or the American systems, but they're pretty much the same. So we would go through and explain, right, these are the issues with each of these degrees. If you want to be healed of something to do with that, then here's a template of what you could do. And so we actually had people in 5 countries from different ministries who were dealing with the same stuff in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and we sort of drafted a corporate prayer that we could all use. And there's lots of ministries all around the world that use the same stuff. Sometimes they say where it comes from our book, or if I don't really mind. We've seen some absolute miracles. People healed of stuttering, people healed of heart disease, people healed of stomach cancers. And there's actually a list in there of the different areas of health that have been healed once people have gone through the prayer. So we're excited with the fruit from it, and the fruit is good. So when men go through the rituals, and women do in women's lodges as well, they're speaking words that actually curse different parts of their body. I've mentioned the first 3 degrees already, but as they go higher and higher, they go into other parts of the body and so on that they're cursing. And so what happens is when they say those things, if they don't come on them as a person, they come on their family members because they're in a covenant and also a bloodline relationship.